Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by just the sheer volume of global news? Like, you want to grasp the important stuff, but you just get lost in all the noise?
Oh, absolutely. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose sometimes, isn't it? Knowing what actually matters. That's tough.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're trying to do here. This deep dive is, your shortcut to getting informed on what's critical, pulling out the key insights from a major new report.
And today, we're tackling the 2024 United Nations Global Risk Report. Now, I know that might sound a bit dry, perhaps.
Right, like some dusty document.
But it's really not. The UN Secretary General himself called it a wake-up call and a blueprint. It's pretty powerful.
And it's not just guesswork, is it? It's based on some serious data.
Massive amount. Over 1,100 stakeholders. Think governments, businesses, academics, civil society groups.
Wow.
Across 136 countries. So it's this huge global snapshot of what people see as the biggest risks and maybe more importantly, how ready we think we are to face them.
And why should you, our listener, care about this? It sounds very high level.
Well, it's not just abstract policy stuff. It's about the forces really shaping your world. I mean, everything from the information flooding your feeds to, frankly, the planet's stability.
Okay. So we're going to unpack what the experts and leaders see as the biggest threats. And crucially, are we actually prepared?
That's the plan. Let's dig in.
So how did the UN even start identifying these risks? Sounds like a monumental task.
It really was a very rigorous process. They started by looking at over 40 different risk reports already out there.
Okay.
Which gave them an initial list of like over 100 potential global risks. Way too many to handle effectively.
Right. You'd need some way to sort through that.
Exactly. So they did this meticulous assessment, risk by risk, and narrowed it down to 28 core risks.
And how did they organize those 28? Was there a structure?
Yeah, they use the STEEP framework. It's an acronym for societal, technological, economic, environmental, and political.
Ah, okay. Helps to categorize things.
All right, gives you a way to see how things might connect across different areas. And what came out of all that data was, well, pretty clear picture of global concerns.
And what was at the very top?
Environmental worries, hands down.
Yeah.
Across the board, all regions, all types of stakeholders.
Really? That strong a consensus?
Yeah. Specifically, climate change in action and large-scale pollution, seen as both highly likely to happen and severely impactful if they do.
It really underlines how fundamental planetary health is for everything else.
It does. But it wasn't only environmental. Societal and political risks were right up there, too.
Like what?
Things like mis and disinformation, which we hear so much about. Also, rise in inequalities, geopolitical tensions, mass movement of people, and even large-scale war. All in the top 10.
But perceptions aren't uniform everywhere, are they? I seem to remember there were regional differences.
Definitely. That mis and disinformation concern. Much higher, for instance, in Europe and North America. Whereas, say, in North Africa and Asia, you saw things like cybersecurity breakdown and AI and frontier technologies ranking higher. Reflects different immediate pressures, maybe?
That makes sense. And it's not all future gazing, right? Some of these risks are, well, they're already problems.
Yeah, that was sobering. Over 80% of their respondents said some risks are currently occurring.
Like which ones?
Mis and disinformation topped that list.
Yeah.
84% said it's happening now.
Wow.
Followed by rise in inequalities at 77% and geopolitical tensions at 76%. These aren't distant threats. They're present dangers.
And looking just a bit ahead, say the next few years.
Well, the near-term worries, like in the next 1 to 7 years, included AI and frontier technologies. That's 42% expecting significant threats there. Also a new pandemic at 41%, and cybersecurity breakdown at 38%.
Okay, and this is where things get really interesting, especially thinking about tech and security. When you hear cybersecurity breakdown and AI and frontier technologies flagged as near-term threats, it really highlights how vital the work being done in that space is. And actually, this is a good moment to thank our sponsor, www.quantumsecurity.ai. They're right at the forefront, tackling these kinds of complex technological challenges, working on securing our digital future. Their support makes this deep dive possible.
Absolutely. And, the report really stresses something important here. It's not just about listing risks.
Right. It's about how they connect.
Exactly. They don't exist in isolation. They amplify each other, speed things up. It's this interconnected web.
Like a global domino effect. Knock one over and others start to fall.
Precisely. And the report found that geopolitical tensions is seen as the most interconnected risk.
The central hub, almost.
Kind of like the mother of all risks, yeah.
Yeah.
It acts as both a cause and a consequence for so many other problems. It fractures trust, undermines cooperation, making it harder to deal with everything else.
Climate change, pandemics, you name it.
Right. Other really central risks were mass movement of people and climate change in action. They also have wide-ranging impacts.
So geopolitical tensions is the big connector. What are some specific examples of these connections, these cascading effects?
Well, the strongest link they found, maybe not surprisingly, was between geopolitical tensions and large-scale war.
Makes sense.
But also, think about climate change in action. The report shows clear pathways where that can lead to biodiversity decline, natural resource shortages, natural hazard risks like floods and fires, and even mass movement of people as areas become uninhabitable.
So environmental stress driving societal upheaval. What about the tech side?
There's a strong link shown between cybersecurity breakdown and both mis and disinformation and social cohesion collapse.
Okay. So a hack isn't just about data loss. It can actually fuel distrust and tear at the social fabric.
That's the idea. It shows how quickly digital problems can spill over into real-world societal instability.
Okay, so we've got the risks. We see how they're linked, which leads to the big question. How prepared are we really? Where are we most vulnerable?
Well, the report looks at our multilateral institutions.
Right.
You know, the UN, WHO, international agreements.
Right.
And the assessment is nuanced. They're seen as pretty good at identifying risks. All that global data, those forums bringing experts together, that works reasonably well.
That's something, at least. But where's the weakness? Where are they falling short?
The report says there's significant room for improvement when it comes to actually identifying and, more importantly, addressing risks around frontier tech and AI, mis and disinformation, and cybersecurity.
Basically, the fast-moving stuff where tech outpaces policy.
Exactly. International frameworks and collective action are just struggling to keep up.
And this leads to what the report calls global vulnerabilities.
Yes. Those are the critical risks where we're seen as least prepared, even though they're hugely important.
And is there one that really stands out?
Oh yeah, mis and disinformation comes up again and again, seen as extremely important, but the global community is rated as deeply underprepared.
And the danger is it just makes everything worse.
Right. It fuels geopolitical tensions, erodes social trust. It's not just about fake news. It's about damaging our shared sense of reality.
That feels incredibly close to home. Beyond misinformation, what other main clusters of vulnerability did they find?
They highlighted 3 main clusters where preparedness is lacking. First, an environmental cluster.
Which includes
Things like natural resource shortages, natural hazards, biodiversity decline, and large-scale carbon pollution. Important risks, but we're just not ready enough, especially as they get more intense.
Okay, environmental cluster. What's second?
A societal cluster. This revolves around a new pandemic, other biorisks, and mass movement of people.
Again, important, underprepared. And you mentioned highly interconnected.
Very much so, often driven by those environmental and political pressures we talked about.
And the third cluster must be technology.
You got it. The technological cluster focuses on cybersecurity breakdowns, AI and frontier technologies, and something called technology-driven power concentration, like big tech monopolies.
And here, too, institutions are struggling to keep pace.
Absolutely. The speed of tech change creates these vulnerabilities that could destabilize economies, societies, everything.
So, given all these risks and vulnerabilities, what actually works in terms of responding, and what's stopping us?
Well, the survey respondents were pretty clear on what works best. Overwhelmingly, they pointed to joint action by multiple governments.
Makes sense. Global problems need global cooperation.
Seems obvious, right?
Yeah.
But then you hit the barriers.
What makes that joint action so hard to achieve, even when the stakes are so high?
Well, first, they also noted that joint action between governments and the private sector is crucial. That got nearly 1,500 mentions, and also between governments and civil society.
Okay, multi-stakeholder partnerships.
Right. And all of that contrasts sharply with just one country trying to go it alone. Unilateral action was seen as way less effective for pretty much all the risks.
So what stops the effective joint action?
The top barriers identified were weak governance or coordination mechanisms and a lack of political consensus. Fundamentally, the systems aren't strong enough and countries can't agree.
Fall by.
Lack of trust and accountability. If you don't trust each other or the systems, cooperation breaks down.
And for mis and disinformation specifically, that key vulnerability, any unique barriers there?
Yes, the report points to gaps in data, accountability, and communication pathways. Basically, it's hard to fight it effectively if you don't have good data, clear responsibility, and ways to share reliable information.
Understanding these barriers, especially the tech and information ones, really clarifies the challenge. Talking about overcoming technological challenges and rebuilding trust online.
It's crucial.
It makes me think again of our sponsor, www.quantumsecurity.ai. Their work on building more secure digital environments seems directly relevant to bridging these gaps and boosting our global resilience. We really appreciate their support for this discussion.
Indeed. And the report doesn't just stop at problems and barriers. It tries to look ahead.
Right, the scenarios.
Exactly. 4 foresight scenarios looking out to 2050. They aren't predictions, more like illustrations of how different levels of that giant multilateral action could play out.
Showing the impact of the choices we made. Okay, walk us through them. What's the worst case?
That's the breakdown scenario. Here, cooperation basically collapses. It's fragmented, fragile.
And the consequences.
It makes things like natural hazard risks much worse. You get chaotic mass movements of people, societal breakdown. A pretty dystopian picture, honestly.
Grim. Okay, what if things just stay the same? The status quo scenario.
That's where cooperation just bumps along, uncoordinated, like it often feels now. In this version, mis and disinformation really takes hold.
Leading to
more distrust, more cyber attacks, maybe even a digital arms race. And all this has environmental costs, too. It's a future where we're just sort of muddling through, but the problems pile up.
Not great either. Let's hope for better. What's the progress scenario?
Okay, here we see improved cooperation. It's not perfect, but it's better. As an example, they imagine it helps effectively mitigate a new pandemic.
And that has positive knock-on effects.
Yeah, better public health, maybe some gains on climate action too. But the report cautions inequalities likely persist. The benefits might not reach everyone, still leaving people behind.
Right. So better, but not ideal. What's the best case vision, the breakthrough scenario?
This is where cooperation becomes strong and actually accelerates. The example used is a major cybersecurity breakdown that gets resolved swiftly through global teamwork.
And that unlocks
advanced digital collaboration, benefits shared more widely, real sustainable progress for both people and the planet. It shows what's possible if we really commit to working together.
So 4 very different potential futures. What's the big takeaway for us, for you listening?
The report hammers this home. Just continuing with the status quo, that's not really a viable option anymore. The risks are too big, too interconnected.
We need to upgrade how we handle things globally.
Exactly. Move beyond institutions tackling problems in isolation. We need a more systemic approach to assessing risks, preparing and responding together.
And the UN itself is taking steps.
Yes, the Secretary General committed to concrete actions, like immediately creating a task team on the information ecosystem. That's the disinformation problem.
Okay.
Also, finalizing standard operating procedures for global shocks by the end of 2025 and doing another global risk report by December 2026 to keep tracking progress.
So it's not just a report to sit on a shelf. It's intended to spur action.
That's the hope. It really underscores the urgency. The choice between, fragmentation and breakdown or stronger collaboration and maybe even breakthrough. That choice is ours to make. Now.
We wanted this deep dive to be your shortcut to getting informed, and hopefully exploring this UN Global Risk Report has given you that clarity, that context.
It definitely lays out the vulnerabilities and, the stark consequences if we don't act. But, importantly, it also paints that picture of what's possible with strong joint action.
So here's a thought to leave you with. How can your own choices, your participation, even small scale, nudge things towards that breakthrough scenario the UN described, instead of the breakdown?
Every bit counts, right? Seeking good information, engaging in constructive dialogue.
Yeah.
It all adds up.
Well, I hope you found this exploration valuable. And a final thank you to our sponsor, www.quantumsecurity.ai, for helping make it possible.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time, keep digging deeper.